Hey y'all, my name is Allie. I'm back with another video. So I did a little poll on Facebook to see what you guys wanted today's video topic to be. The choices were daddy issues and the outcome of that and how it affects your life. The second one was a skincare routine, which I think I'm either going to do later tonight or tomorrow. And the third one was my walk in the park with Xanax, or my experience with benzos. And a couple people chose the Xanax topic, which I thought y'all would anyway. Okay, so I'm outside. It is freaking gorgeous out. Y'all know I don't get much sunlight. If there's any interruptions, I'm gonna go back inside, which there might be, because you know, you got my boyfriend home, I got neighbors, and if my neighbors come outside, I kind of don't want them hearing about my drug use, so I might have to go in if that's the case. Okay, so I never really brought this up on my channel. All right, y'all, I'm gonna stop moving. Let me get over here. Okay, so I never really brought up on my channel my other addictions. I really only talked about my heroin addiction, and so I think this is kind of important to bring up. The fact that people have more than one addiction or drug of choice, you know? And I think it's important to touch on that because Xanax was definitely one of mine. I'm gonna take you guys on a walk with me so we can have a little bit of privacy. Okay, so pretty much I got clean from Xanax and heroin exactly 2 months ago. Ooh, girl, we got that sunlight on us. I think we're gonna be over here. So, I've been clean. Oh yeah, we're staying right here, y'all. So I've been clean of Xanax and heroin 2 months now. I got clean I went to detox January 31st and I left February 4th. So and they gave me benzos in detox. So I would say, you know, I've been clean exactly 2 months. So the whole time I did heroin, I also loved benzos. And I think that, you know, that played a lot in me not getting clean too. So I basically started using Xanax when I was 16. And I immediately fell in love with it, like I fell in love with heroin. But I did not do it that much until my dope was not doing the job, like it wasn't as strong. And I realized that if I took Xanax with it, it would definitely make it more potent. And the problem with that was that is a very deadly combination. And Xanax is also very addicting too. And you can actually die from that withdrawal. So, and I think the withdrawals from the Xanax were different than heroin. I couldn't sleep without it. I would be puking. It was hard for me to tell, you know, the difference between the withdrawal, but the benzo withdrawal felt more like a alcohol withdrawal, like very restless. You couldn't sleep. I didn't really get the antsy feeling. It was more just uncomfortable, kind of like you had a cold. And I was getting chills and I was actually freezing. But I didn't realize that was from the benzos. I thought I was having really weird heroin withdrawals. So You know, the Xanax would be really like hard on my body and on my mind. I would take it. I would take bars, which are 2 milligrams, and it's really hard to find real ones these days. A lot of them are pressed and you don't know what's in them, but I was able to get my hands on some really strong bars, and eventually you started needing more and more bars to get high, you know, as with many drugs. But the problem with Xanax is that since I was taking more and more to get high, I'd be taking like 5 bars a night all the way up until January 31st of this year. And I would black out. That was the issue. I would black out. I would fight with my boyfriend. I would say the craziest things. I ruined so many shoes and clothes because I would be outside running through mud, and I could not even remember my nights. My boyfriend would have to recap what I did the night before, or like he would just bring up a story or something that I did. Like he was like, one day, I woke up and he was like, "How did those burnt cookies taste last night?" And I was like, "Burnt cookies?" He was like, "You made cookies last night while you were high on dope, and you took a bunch of bars, and you were dropping cookie dough everywhere, and once you finally," he helped me get the cookies in the oven. He was already tired and he was sleeping, and I had woke him up, I guess, to help me put the cookies in the oven because I kept dropping them. He went back to sleep and he was like, "Make sure you don't fall asleep." And I ended up falling asleep on myself at the table, and the cookies burnt. The whole house was filled with smoke and all of that. And there were so many stories of me just doing stupid shit like that. I would say the most off-the-wall shit, and I would just act like I wasn't, you know, I definitely wasn't myself. It was a way different high than heroin, because heroin, you actually know what you're doing, and you know, you can recall what you were doing and all of that. Whereas Xanax, it will literally make me black out for like, I will forget the whole week before. I will forget everything I did, everything I said. I would wake up to crazy texts in my phone because I'd be texting everybody and their mother, all emotional. And I'd wake up and be like, did I really send those messages? Yeah, so that was pretty crazy. And I think a lot of people can relate to that, the Xanax blackouts. And I really think that's why I loved it so much, because it would really increase my my high with heroin, so I didn't have to do as many bags. I'd replace the bags with bars, and I would get so fucking high. And it sounds sad, but I really just loved escaping the reality I was in. And that sounds sad to say, but it's the truth. I loved blacking out. I loved just, after a long day of work, going home, popping my bars, having a glass of wine, and doing my bags. And that's what I did. And my boyfriend really hated when I would take the bars. My best friend hated when I take the bars. They didn't like the person I was when I took them. They would completely change who I was. I would be very sloppy all over the place. You know, I just wasn't enjoyable to be around. My moods would fluctuate up and down. And don't even get me started on the day after. You know, you come down, like the morning after you take Xanax, because you are so fucking moody. I was a complete bitch every time. Every time I would take my Xanax, the next morning I would be absolutely fucking miserable until I got more. And it was just this horrific cycle, because the withdrawal was just as bad as heroin, and it was different symptoms. So like, it was like a double whammy with the heroin and the Xanax, because you are, you know, it's two different withdrawals, and it's so hard on your body. And I think it was harder on my mood swings than heroin was. And then when you mix together with that smoking crack and all of that, because, you know, I smoked a lot of crack in the past couple years, and I feel so gross saying that, but I know how it is, and I don't judge anybody for, you know, for doing drugs, because I am the last person a lot of people would expect to be saying these things. You know, a lot of people who knew me from school and stuff, they, you know, a lot of it is the way I look. You know, a lot of people think just because I look the way I do that, you know, I was never struggling the way I was. And I think, you know, a pretty face will mask a lot. So yeah, I think, you know, I'm trying to think what else I can talk about. Yeah, somebody wanted me to talk about, you know, how Xanax was pretty much just as detrimental to your life as heroin is, and I totally believe that. A lot of people are prescribed, you know, Xanax, and you know, a lot of people sell their prescriptions or they overtake their prescriptions, and it's a really big problem, just like opiates. And I think it's not as talked about as the opioid epidemic right now. But I am glad I am away from Xanax and heroin, and I'm glad that I was able to see the light at the end of the tunnel, because I honestly thought that I would never make it out. You know, I was so in love with the feeling of just not being me, not feeling the stress and the burden of being me. I loved what Xanax did for me. You know, I loved that it enhanced my favorite drug, heroin. I loved how it made me feel. You know, I had finally had some balls. I finally, you know, could say what I wanted to say, act how I wanted to act without feeling bad. And, you know, I could finally just, like I said, escape from my mind and my body and just completely black out and, you know, forget about it all. And that's really what it did. It made me forget about everything. Fucking everything. But yeah, I do believe Xanax is just as harmful as heroin. So, you know, if you guys want to hear anything else about, you know, my Xanax addiction, my heroin addiction, about, you know, how long I smoked crack and what that did, you know, crack, you know, it does a lot on your fucking mental too. That it's completely different than heroin and Xanax. And it's one of those drugs that I completely hated. I hated the feeling. I only liked the first hit, but that compulsion is so strong with that drug, with crack. That drug has the strongest compulsion I have ever felt. You could really hate the high. After that first hit, you are fiending for the next rock. You'll be looking on the ground, on your rug, looking for little pebbles to stick in your pipe. It is the craziest thing. If you smoke crack, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The people that look on the floor for little rocks for hours after you run out. You'll be smoking fucking cat litter. Yeah. That drug is definitely the most, like, I would say, physically addictive, because in the moment, like, you actually feel that addiction in the moment. Like, if you do a bag of heroin, you're good for a couple of hours, whereas if you smoke crack, you want a hit every 2 minutes. It's like, as soon as you blow the smoke out, you're already fiending for another hit. You can't wait for the pipe to cool down to put another rock in. It is absolutely insane. So if you guys want to hear about that too, I can talk about that and embarrass myself on the internet. I can do that for you. But like I said, I just want to let you guys know that you're not alone. If you have any questions for me, message me on Facebook, Allie Haight, H-A-I-G-H-T. I'm going to do a skincare video, my skincare routine, because I struggle with acne. I think I'm going to do that either tonight or tomorrow. And if you guys have any other video ideas, let me know, because I would love to know and I'd love to do them. I love feedback too. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Please like it. That does so much for me. And subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of this face. And share it where you can to potentially save a life. I love you guys. Mwah.